Alright, hello and welcome to this lecture where I'll show you the launch webinar sequence which you ought to follow for your launch webinar. Alright, so I'm just going to go right into it. So now, before you start your webinar, before you even begin to plan your webinar, there's one important thing that you should have in mind, okay? And that is the aim of your launch webinar. That's the aim of your launch webinar. Now, I know you've been told I have told you about how the best way to launch anything is to organize a free training, give value, and then make your offer. But it's important to know that there's a sequence to this thing. And if you fail the sequence, you may not get the results that you're supposed to get. So before you start, at the very first stage and at the top of the list in your sequence is knowing the aim of your launch webinar. Knowing the aim of your launch webinar. Okay? In fact, this is the aim of every launch webinar. Now, the aim of your webinar is not to teach. Now, I know this may shock you because you feel that you are inviting people to teach them something so that they can see you as valuable enough to be able to pay you for what you are about to offer. But the truth is that your launch webinar is not for teaching. Okay? Once you have this in mind and you know that the aim of your launch webinar is not to teach but to sell, you will be able to hit accurately and launch perfectly. All right? So since the aim of your launch webinar is not to teach, does that mean you're not going to teach? No, it doesn't mean you're not going to teach. You will still have to teach. But that is not the ultimate aim of your launch webinar. The ultimate aim of your launch webinar is to sell and make profits. So for you to be able to sell and make profit, why not just do it? Why not just go ahead and sell? We know that we can't just do that. So that is the reason why you need to use a launch webinar. So I'm just going to give you the 3 key things that should be the aim of your webinar. Okay? The 3 key things that should be the aim of your webinar. So first of all, the aim of your webinar is to break down limiting belief. That is the aim of your webinar, to break down limiting belief. There is a belief which your target audience, which your prospect have, which is the reason why if you just walk up to them and say, hey, this is what I'm about to launch, this is what I want to sell, they would not buy from you. So you need to break down those beliefs. Then the second thing is to heighten the desire of your product. So write this down, break down limiting beliefs, heighten the desire for your product, and then break down sales resistance. Now, it's not enough to just break down the limiting beliefs which your ideal prospects have. It's not enough to heighten their desire for that product. You also have to break down the sales resistance which they have accumulated. The sales resistance which have been imbibed in them, maybe due to their previous experiences or due to some mindsets and beliefs that they have already. So remember, the aim of your webinar is to break down limiting belief, to heighten the desire of your product, and to break down sales resistance. Do not worry, I'm going to show you just how to do this during the period when I will show you the complete sequence for your webinar. All right. So now, before we even go into your launch webinar sequence, there are following things. You need the following things, okay? You need to prepare the following things for your sequence. You need to prepare the following things. I want you to write these things down so that you can start to prepare them before we even start to talk about your webinar sequence, your entire webinar sequence, because I'm going to give you a case study and I'll probably do it with one of my webinar slides, which I will use to show you exactly how I moved from point A to point Z. All right. So the first thing you need is to decide on the product. Now, don't just create your webinar without deciding on the product. I'm sure you know that the reason why you want to create that launch webinar is because you want to launch a product, or you want to launch a service, or you want to launch something. There's something you want to launch, so that is your product. Then when you decide on the product, you need to go back, step back, and think of just one of the problems which your product solves. Okay, one of the problems that your product solves. I know we've already covered this in the 3-step launch formula and in how to create badass content. Please go back to those lectures and find out one of the problems which your product solves. Then you can decide to address that in this webinar. All right, so that's it. You've decided on the product. After deciding on the product, the second thing is to walk backwards and find out one of the things that your product solves, or one of the things that your company package solves, or one of the problems that your business opportunity solves. So you decide to address that problem. All right, so when you do that, you need to craft a hot topic, which is something I call making one big promise. So you have to craft a hot topic. It's a no-brainer, because you can have something to offer and then you are not offering it in the right way. You don't have the right topic to sell that thing. Okay, now imagine I am selling to you a launch webinar masterclass, which is this. That wouldn't really be a hot topic, because not everyone knows what a launch webinar masterclass should be about. I will get people to join, but I will miss out on some of my ideal prospects. Okay, so it's important for you to make sure that you're crafting a one big promise or a hot topic. And I'm going to show you how to craft a hot topic, which is more like a subtitle. Okay, it's more like a subtitle which will show people what they stand to get. All right, so you need to create this and put it aside. So right now you've known the aim of your webinar. Right now you've decided on the product, and you've decided on one of the problems your product solves, which you are going to address. Okay, so now you've also created a hot topic, which I'm going to show you how to do. Okay, I'll show you how to do this using a formula that works very easily. It will just help you create a hot topic to sell your webinar. Okay, so that anyone who sees that topic will know that, okay, this is for me, and you will make sure you're not losing out on any of your ideal prospects. All right, so after that, the next thing you need to prepare is a compelling bio, so you can qualify yourself. All right, if people are going to have to buy from you, if people are going to have to listen to you and then pull out their wallets or their ATMs to make payments, or even to support your vision, in case you are an NGO, you need to be able to craft a compelling bio that will qualify yourself. Okay, so you need to do that. Have that aside. If you have screenshots, that is the next point, proof of credibility. If you have screenshots, if you have media appearances where you've been to, if you had spotlights, if you've won awards, just anything that proves that you are credible enough. Anything that proves that you are credible enough, you want to get all those things together. All right, so I hope you're writing these things down and you are preparing these things. Prepare these things before you start to think about your webinar sequence. So now you have your proof of credibility. Just gather everything about you, everything that has been said about you. It could be what someone who had used your product said about the product. It could be what someone who had used your service said about your service. It could be what someone else who had donated into your vision as an NGO, the things they said, that they said, okay, these people were able to feed so people in this and this and this. These are the results you got. These are all proofs of credibility. So you want to get all those things together. Start thinking about it. Now, what are the things I can use in my webinar as a proof of credibility? All right. Then another thing you need is a stack up offer. There are many people who miss out at this stage. You need a stack up offer. You don't just come out to offer something and you tell people that it's just this thing. This thing is just this thing, and it goes for A to ABC amount. Okay, you need to stack up the offer to make it enticing, and I'm going to show you just how to do that in this mastermind. I'll show you how to do that. Then the next thing you need is to time yourself. This is a launch webinar, and remember that your aim is not to teach. Your aim is not to teach. Your aim is to give value and sell. Your aim is to sell. So if you are having your launch webinar and then you are having more than 1 hour, people get tired, people get exhausted, people may be bothered about their data, they may be bothered about their time, and then they get to leave. So before you even start to sell, you discover that most of your viewers had actually left. You discover that most of the people you're supposed to sell to are no longer around to hear you sell. So you want to keep it short, you want to keep it simple. A maximum of 45 minutes is the top for your webinar, because you don't want to get people bothered, you don't want to get people leaving, you don't want to get people tired. All right? So if you have all those things ready, then you are ready for the next episode of this training. Thank you for listening. I'll speak to you in the next video.